Hey, well, what is up, everyone? Welcome to The Collision. Daniel here, and I am very honored today, privileged to be joined by a very special guest, and that is Mr. Stan Jantz. He is the global ambassador for the Come and See Foundation. What is the Come and See Foundation, you might ask? Well, that is what we are about to find out. Thank you so much, Stan. This has been a busy time for you, as we'll get into in just a moment, but I appreciate you just taking the time to just chat about all that you're doing.
Hey, thank you, Daniel. It's great to be with you, and we are excited. Of course, this is Holy Week, Good Friday, and season 5 is in theaters, which goes right up until Good Friday, but does not include that. So I actually saw it last night, Daniel, for the first time. In a theater. I saw part 3, which are the last 3 episodes of season 5. So I'm primed. I'm ready to go. This is exciting.
Yeah, and the show you're referring to is The Chosen. Obviously, people all around the world are familiar with the show. One of the biggest things, faith-based, mainstream, really in any way you look at it in the entertainment world, is The Chosen. But they may be less familiar with the Come and See Foundation, other than maybe seeing those words pop onto the screen before their next episode of The Chosen. Can you maybe share just a little bit about kind of what it is that Come and See does, and maybe how you're connected, kind of your relationship with the show The Chosen?
Correct. So, Daniel, our Come and See is a nonprofit, and our vision is for 1 billion people to experience the authentic Jesus. And we believe the best way to do that is through The Chosen, the multi-season television series. And so our purpose then to fulfill that vision is to raise money to fund the production of the series all the way through 7 seasons. Number 2, so it can be translated into 600 languages, and that's dubbed, not just subtitles, so 600 languages. And then number 3 is to partner with existing global ministries to be able to take to the farthest ends of the earth. And so it can be a catalyst for ministries like Crew and Alpha and One Hope and Jesus.net and all of these that are using this in what they already are doing in different parts of the world. So we're, again, season 5 was fully funded, and now we're working on the translation part and distribution, and then on to season 6 and 7.
Yeah, well, even as you were answering that, I think you touched on just how unique of a project The Chosen is, in that it's a work of entertainment. It's a thrilling, it's captivating drama. But as you just alluded to, it also has a very missional, evangelistic component. I think the closest comparable to me is maybe like the Jesus film that's being used a lot. Although that film wasn't necessarily created primarily to be like a work of entertainment. It is more, missional in its focus. As you've been following this very closely, working alongside it, hearing the behind the scenes stories, like, how has The Chosen as a show managed to sort of balance those two seemingly different kind of priorities or identities?
Daniel, that's a great question. And the Jesus film is like amazing. I mean, it's been out for 50 years now, which is just incredible. Or excuse me, 40 years. And translated in, I think, 2,000 languages. But their purpose is evangelistic. I mean, that's a Crew project, and they have done amazing work to bring the gospel to the farthest ends of the earth. The Chosen is a little bit different in that it just tells the story without any kind of agenda. So Come and See then takes that and, as I said, works together with ministries and the church to then take that to people and then begin conversations on a journey to get to know Jesus. And I'll just give you a quick example. I was in Dubai about 3 weeks ago for Movement Day, which is a global kind of initiative to reach the 500 largest cities in the world with the gospel. And we ended up on an evening before the conference started showing The Chosen in 2 different theaters in Dubai. This is a Muslim country, right? And the government had to approve it. And so they watched it. We had an Arabic translation dub, and they approved it, and we showed it in 2 different theaters, public theaters, and the response was just amazing. Now, most of the people in there were believers, but there were some others that came in that are not believers, including some government officials we believe were there as well. So, but it just tells the story of what Jesus did when he was on earth and what his disciples who followed him, what they were able to do. And it really begins to open up conversations about Jesus to consider this person. We say it's telling the greatest story about the greatest person to the greatest number of people in history. And we believe that there are places for both of these approaches. And we're finding that ministries like Alpha, for example, have used it in tremendous ways to kind of spur on conversations about Jesus, get people thinking about who he is, and perhaps begin to follow him.
Yeah, and one of the amazing things just about the story behind the story, the show, is just how widely it has been received. How even in like unexpected places, just even like mainstream Hollywood, people that aren't believers that are resonating with it or curious, they've heard the hype. It seems like every as someone that follows and like does journalism for pop culture, it seems like every month I'm having to write something about some new record that was being broken by The Chosen, whether it's the box office or the way that it's distributing its episodes. As someone that's had like a front row seat to a lot of this story, are you ever like you and the crew, the production, are you ever surprised by just like the levels of growth? Like it seems like there's always one more step of growth for this show, even when it feels like it's maybe reached the top. Does it ever? Do you ever like stand back and reflect, just like how crazy this whole thing is?
Great question. I'm surprised on two levels. One is I experience and watch the show how it really drives me back to scripture to kind of look at that. Okay, that scene that just portrayed, what is that? What is that saying? What is that scripture passage for that? Of course, as you get into season 5, a lot of it comes out of the book of John, where there's a lot of red letters. Jesus doing a lot of talking. And so just to see that come to life, and I think what happens is it kind of sparks your imagination. Kind of like the what if, could I have been there, and what would that have been like? And so that's the first surprise, is how I think whether you're a longtime Christian or you're just starting out, it just opens up to this person as we know Jesus fully human, fully divine, but it opens up him as a person that I can identify with and that he can identify with me. But I think the other thing is as you said, the most unexpected places, and we've seen it in the Muslim world. The Catholic world has opened up in dramatic ways to the just the story as it's being told. And again, I think it's because they're seeing Jesus as a person they can relate to. Can I say this? A person we could be friends with, right? And I think that's something that perhaps I grew up as an evangelical, and I knew about Jesus in a really deep way. But it's opened up just for me too, is to know him as a person, and to realize he is he is fully human, he is fully divine, but we've kind of overlooked perhaps in the evangelical world that humanity of Jesus that I think is coming alive on the screen in such a profound way. And give credit to the script and to Dallas Jenkins, the director. They are faithful to scripture. There's a rigorous process in place, both from the Chosen standpoint as a production company and Come and See as a nonprofit. We have a obligation to protect and to ensure the theological integrity of the show. And so there's a great faithfulness to scripture. And yet there's those kind of shadows that are cast perhaps that are plausible, not necessarily in scripture, but they're plausible, and it just opens up. And one of those would be the types of personalities that the disciples had. And that's been very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and like you said, this is a show that it's been reaching, seems like every year, bigger audiences, more people going to the theater, more people checking it out online for free streaming. And I know part of your mission, with as you've mentioned, is Come and See, is to allow take away more of those barriers so that even more people can experience that through the goal of translating this show. Like you mentioned, of the ultimate goal to translate this show into 600 languages, which is incredible. Maybe share just a little bit of what is sort of that. I won't ask you to name all of the language that it's been translated into yet, but what sort of is that process kind of like, and kind of what sort of global impact has that led to?
Thank you. That it's something that gets me very excited because I've actually seen in different countries, whether it's Brazil, watching it in Portuguese, watching people watch it in their language. And we have a phrase for that, that when you do it in the language of the person watching, and it's done with skill and artistry, that it speaks to the heart. We talk about heart language, and it's the thing you can really understand because it's the language your mother taught you, let's say. And so I've seen that, and I think what happens is that people are awakened to know this isn't just an English show, an American show, it's really a global story. And so we've seen the language part, and we have a really top-notch person. His name's Rick Dempsey, and he worked for Disney for 35 years. in working with their big franchises like Marvel and Star Wars and these things, and working with translation. And he retired, and it was by God's grace that we found him and he found us. So he's directing that beautiful, again, the artistry of translating, making sure it's faithful to the text. And there's a term called contextualization, so that it translates correctly and has the same meaning in that language as it does in the original English that the script is written in. And so we're just seeing people, wake up to really a story they perhaps haven't seen in this way and experienced. And I think language is the key. And isn't it kind of cool, Daniel? It's like, this is like with translation, as you know, there's a huge movement for Bible translation too. Every tribe, every nation, which is aspiring to do all the languages. There's 6,000 languages. And believe it or not, 600 that we're doing gets 95% of the people as their heart language.
Wow.
That last 5% is a really long tail to get the others, but it's really making it accessible to people. And it's kind of like a reversal of the curse, right? We had it during the Babel when God cursed the nations and scattered them with languages. It's like we're bringing them back. Certainly it happened at Pentecost. And now I think with language translation of scripture and of experiences like The Chosen and the Jesus film, it's like it's bringing that again, bringing people together around the person of Jesus.
Yeah, and one of the ways too that you are bringing this show to people, making it accessible, is despite being the fact that it's one of the most popular shows in the entire world, that it is remains available for free, at least eventually after the theatrical releases. But as I think we all know, nothing in life is truly free. So maybe take a little bit of, has it been a challenge to, especially as this show has continued to take off and grow and find momentum? Like, have there been challenges in kind of maintaining that, unique, kind of unprecedented business model?
It is. It's a challenge, but I'll tell you what, we are so grateful and humbled by the number of people who have given to Come and See. And so people can go to comeandsee.net, and also the app, the Chosen app, which is in the iOS store or Android store, and they can download the app for free and watch the episodes and choose what language they want to watch it in. There's about, as I said, more than 50 right now that are available, and it's growing. But again, we're so grateful. Season 5 was funded by more than 105,000 people from 150 countries. And people bring their loaves and fishes. It could be a $10 donation. It could be something much larger. And that's what's making it possible for the show to be produced. And all the overhead of Come and See is covered. So every 100% of everyone's donation goes to the show, either for the production, the translation, or the ministry distribution. So that's the thing to me, is just I wake up just thankful for people investing in this particular media to show the story of Jesus to the world. And again, we couldn't do it without people that are giving in such a wonderful way.
Yeah, and I should ask you too, is, for someone maybe watching this interview that has been, inspired, moved by touched by the Chosen show in some way, and does want to support the show, support the mission with the final two seasons, what is the best way for them to go about kind of contributing to this mission?
Yeah, they can go to the app if they have that, or to the website comeandsee.net, and become, part of that family of people who have supported and continue to support the show. And also, we have opportunities. People can join the prayer crew. We have 135,000 people who have joined the prayer crew. You opt in, and we will send updates of how we can pray for the Chosen. And I got to tell you, Daniel, season 6, they just started production last week on season 6, and Season 5 is 1 week, the most intense week in history, which is Holy Week. Season 6 is the most intense day in history, and that's Good Friday today. So it's appropriate that we're at least recording this on Good Friday, and that's the day that season 6 will cover. And it's going to be an ambitious and difficult for all the reasons that you would expect to be able to present the story of what Jesus did for us. It's difficult to think about, but yet it's the greatest act of love that God could ever do, is to sacrifice his son, who is then, of course, 3 days later rose from the dead. But that's a story that's going to, I think, resonate throughout the world, this season 6. And then season 7 is the resurrection season. So we need people. Yeah, we need people just to pray, first of all. And if they feel God moving them to give, we'd love that. Thank you so much. And then tell your friends about it. I mean, it's going to be something to see. Again, season 5 is just completing. It'll be on Amazon Prime just in a few weeks after the theater run is done. And then again, be praying for the crew, Dallas Jenkins and the actors and all the crew as they film season 6 and doing it right now.
Yeah, well, it's incredible what this show, the amount of people that I've heard personally that have been touched by the show and moved in various ways. Obviously, like he said, the next season, this thing has been building really to this moment. So there's a lot left in store. But for any of you that haven't yet had the chance to see it in theaters, all 3 parts of season 5 are currently, as we release this interview, currently in theaters. So you can go check that out. And again, if you miss it, make sure to catch up on the Amazon Prime or the app. But thanks so much. I know this is a busy time, not just because it's Easter week, but just all that's going on with the show and related to that. But really appreciate you, Stan, just taking the time to just share sort of the heart of your, Come and See Foundation and for this show.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for what you're doing too. Really appreciate media. Media matters and you're reaching people, and thanks for having us on.